Controlling, the net is empty, he throws it down, and in! He scored the goal! Martin Brodeur!
The hockey gods are Red Wing fans too, it appears. The Lightning have done it! They have done it! They have gone back to back!
Unbelievable.
Here we are, episode number 3.
Number 3 and 2 in a row, like real quick.
We are on top of it. We promised to be more consistent. We're going to be more consistent. You've got Muffy and Stephanie here today to break down all of the fun going around the hockey world. If you are just joining us for episode number 3, we give you a little bit of some game recaps, talk about news around the hockey world. We'll break down some of the rules in a hockey game, and then we will have a little bit of fun with our anything goes category.
And if things get real crazy, we might go into some overtime. You just never know. But here at Shut Your Five Hole, we're all about, letting you know your stuff when you're at the hockey game, so you aren't that guy who's talking loud, not knowing what he's doing. And we all know that guy.
We do all know that guy. I actually thought we were going to be sitting next to that guy when you and I were at the Tampa Bay Lightning game where they played the Boston Bruins, because when we first sat down in your seats, I was like, oh, this guy's going to be a mansplainer. I was pleasantly surprised he wasn't.
No, and it was partly because he was in our seats when we got up there. But no, he was lovely.
He wasn't in our seats. He was half blocking my seat. He was just like standing, hovering between the two seats. And I was like, sir, I need to sit here.
Sir, I need to sit. No, he ended up being really lovely.
He did.
He reminded me of our dads.
Because he realized we knew our shit.
It's true. And then my favorite part, though, was like, you girls come to all the games? And we were like, yeah. And he was like, oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah,
like,
it was good times. Good times.
It was a good game. I mean, I feel a little bad that, the Lightning beat the Bruins, but it was a good game. It was like playoff style game.
It was like playoff style game, and don't ever feel bad that the Lightning beat the Bruins. The Bruins had only lost like 5 games before that game, so we do not feel bad about that.
I don't know why I would feel bad. He was so like nice and like passionate. I was like, oh, but that's true. His team doesn't need the win and ours does.
Yes. The Bruins are like 9 points, something like that, ahead of everybody else. So they can take the L.
They are high up there. I think the only team that has more points than them.
None of them. No, Boston is number 1.
Boston is number 1.
Going into the All-Star break, that is.
Going into the All-Star break. I don't know why. I thought someone on the West Coast, and then I'm looking at the standings, and it's like, oh no, the East Coast is just dominating this year.
Yes.
So we were at the game, and it was a great game. We won't go into like all the highlights. It was we just told you the Lightning won. But the biggest thing that really I think was, newsworthy that came out of that game actually came out of the last time the Lightning and Boston played, and had nothing to do with anything that was happening on the ice. You guys may have seen this, but the Boston Bruins was it the play-by-play guy or it's the color guy?
I believe it's play-by-play.
Either way.
One of their commentators.
One of the Boston commentators, Jack Edwards, decided that during the broadcast, he was just going to essentially fat shame Pat Maroon and talk about how his weight, what was listed was, that's got to be his weight during training camp. He definitely eats a bunch of pizzas. We don't need to go in. It was just like not cool.
Not cool at all.
And Pat, being Pat, took the high road, used it as an opportunity to raise money for a local Tampa charity called Tampa Bay Thrive.
Made the donation in Jack Edwards' name.
And encouraged others to do the same. So this time around, Jack Edwards wanted to apologize to Pat Maroon. And according to an article in The Athletic, made his way into the locker room to do so. And
every other media outlet sat there watching with bated
yeah,
breath.
and players stopped to watch, and they shook hands at the end, but I guess Pat got a little animated. But this Athletic article, it doesn't have a direct comment from Pat Maroon. Well, no, it does at the end. But it really, Edwards goes into, basically it sounded like Edwards wanted to give context to his comments. And I don't know, how do you feel about those comments?
I feel like the entire world went against Jack Edwards, including the people of Boston who were giving him hell after making those comments.
I'm a New Yorker. Well, I'm a New Jersey girl, but, you know, I lived in New York. My family are New Yorkers. I'm getting into semantics that only people in 2 states care about.
Yep.
And even I know you don't fuck with Bostonians.
Yeah.
Is that what they're called?
Yes, that is actually what they are called.
That's what
Good
they're
job.
called? Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think he took the time from when this game happened in the fall now to be like, how am I going to address this? Because here we are playing again. Because if he was really that sincere about it, you can pick up the phone and call somebody and say, look.
Well, he said he gave his contact information to Tampa's PR team, so.
As the PR people in the room.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. It did feel a little hollow. It felt a little defensive. I get that he says it wasn't intended to be mean-spirited. I get that he was trying to say that because he didn't actually say the word fat, that's not what he meant. And he was skirting around trying to say people were getting too touchy about it. But man, even in your apology, you're going on to say that Pat Maroon is a player of another time and that he basically was only on Stanley Cup winning teams because he's a big body you can't move. Now you're apologizing, I'm using air quotes, for he was body shaming him. There's just no way around that. So you're apologizing for body shaming by saying he doesn't have the talent to really get on the teams that he was on to win 3 Stanley Cups in a row.
Yes.
And it almost sounds like he's a little cranky that a guy that Pat's a bruiser. We all know it, but he is good at what he does. And there's still a place for that in modern NHL. It's like he's almost pissed that like a guy like that could win 3 Stanley Cups and he couldn't. Right. It's kind of how I read it.
Well, and the other thing that, you know, I find funny or that goes along with this is Pat's nickname is the Big Rig. And the next home game after this happened, Thunderbug, the mascot, was out there with a sign that said perfectly sized rig. And then you take it up to their game in Philadelphia where Gritty, the mascot for the Flyers, was holding up a sign that said thick and tired of all this body shaming. Like, the league embraced Pat and was like, he's a good player. He knows what he's doing. We shouldn't be talking about eating 3 pizzas.
Because it goes to a larger issue of not just professional sports. We talk about body shaming and fat shaming often in the context of teenage girls, but it happens to everyone who is not of a typical size. And I'm using typical in air quotes again. What like the doctors define as, you know, which
the outdated BMI scales and those things.
Yeah, there are plenty of podcasts out there that will talk about that, but we don't often talk about it in the context of men. So it is important because this happens to not just women. And if you've noticed from our 2 other podcasts, and we'll get into something else a little later where we are always about let's promote women, especially in sports. But that doesn't mean you get to sweep issues under the rug because men have to toughen up and just take it. That's bullshit. What he said was rude. He gave a half-hearted apology.
And if you're a hockey fan watching that game and maybe you struggle with body image issues or you've been fat shamed or something like that, that just adds a whole nother layer to it to sit there and have somebody on a national TV broadcast. Well, I don't know if it was national. No, it was a Boston broadcast, but either way, to have somebody on TV stating those kinds of things is also a slap in the face.
It is, really is. But you know what? Pat held his head up high, did some good with it, and then randomly showed up at the All-Star game with so many buttons undone on a national broadcast that I kind of didn't know what to do about it.
Yeah, Pat Maroon commentating at the All-Star game was a little bit of a surprise.
It was a surprise, and it was interesting. He'll get there.
Yes. So why don't we dive into the All-Star game and talk about the skills competition that opened up the weekend?
Yes.
First off, I have to complain that it was on a Friday night because that meant we couldn't go to it.
I agree. It was stupid that it was on a Friday, and we'll get into this a little bit later too, but my feelings on, and you know I love me some Disney, but when Mickey Mouse owns so many things, it doesn't know how to prioritize things, and it prioritizes football over hockey, then you get an all-star game that starts on a Friday night.
Yep, and a Pro Bowl on a Sunday.
That said, do you like the game or the skills competition more?
I am much more into the skills competition, but I will say this. You could get rid of the All-Star game and the skills competition and just have NHL mascot weekend, and I would be here for it because the chaos that those mascots cause during the All-Star weekend is my favorite.
Yeah, me too. I did enjoy when the actual All-Star game had to stop because they ignited too many confetti cannons at one time and there was too much confetti on the ice.
Yep.
Also, we'll get into the actual players, and I know that I am the person saying this. When he was playing was one of my favorite hockey players. But man, PK Subban really made that broadcast for me.
Oh yeah, he was hysterical.
He's funny.
Uh-huh.
He brings the age median down by 20 years.
Yep.
He's a great broadcaster. Good job, ESPN.
Yeah,
Good
and
job.
he's very comical, and I think that will be fun when it gets into actual game broadcasts too, because he's going to add a whole nother layer that they don't currently have with their sportscasting team.
And what he does that I think is really great is he's not like a stuffy old man broadcaster, where even some of the young guys act like stuffy old man broadcasters. He brings the fun.
Yes.
I mean, I guess he always brought the fun, but again, I'm kind of a PK Subban stan, so I'll stop being weird about it.
We've gotten to talk about Pat Maroon and PK Subban today, your favorites.
I know. And then PK was at the game in Tampa recently, and there were photos of both of them, and I was like, my mind is exploding. Anyway, the game. So, skills competition. Break it down how that works.
So, the skills competition consists of a variety of hockey skills, and now within these past couple of years, taking hockey skills into other elements. Like this year in Florida, we had some shooting pucks at surfboards to cause a dunk tank splash with the players. And we had shooting pucks on the golf course, which was another interesting take on South Florida's All-Star game. But then we have, your traditional hockey skills of fastest skater, breakaway challenge, which still has some chaos to it. This year they added a tandem event with the goalies where they had to shoot a puck down the ice to determine how many opponents their other teammate goalie was going to have to face off against.
Which I thought was actually really fun.
I did too. I really liked that one. So yeah, so there's a mix of true hockey skills and use your hockey skills for something weird.
Yeah, and just fun stuff. So before we jump into the skills, I realized we actually didn't talk about who was in it. So each division, the NHL names at least one player from each team, and then the fans vote to see who else is going to be in it. So the divisions, if you don't know, are the Metropolitan Division, the Atlantic Division.
What?
That's where both of Muffy's teams are in. The Devils are in the Metropolitan Division, Central Division, and Pacific Division. Central and Pacific are West Coast, and Atlantic Division and Metropolitan are East Coast. And as we can say, East Coast, I mean, I guess it's conference, but y'all know what I mean. And it's the best of the best, really. And this was one of the youngest all-star games in a really long time.
Yeah, a lot of young talent.
So, what was...
Well, while we're talking about the nominating one player or one player gets selected, there was a slight change up with this year's game, and the Seattle Kraken, who have been on a phenomenal run on the West Coast, did not have representation at the All-Star game from a player standpoint. Their mascot was there.
That is true.
Typically, there's one player from every team.
Yeah. Okay, yes. So there's typically one person from each, but this year, yes, the Seattle Kraken, unfortunately, did not have a player due to injury.
They did not. And Maddie Beniers was supposed to go to the All-Star game from the Seattle Kraken, but he ended up with an injury at one of the last games they were playing before the All-Star break. And typically, the team will then send a replacement, but in this case they did not. And I found it interesting because there was an article from one of the Seattle radio stations saying that they had reached out to the general manager, who confirmed via text message that another Kraken player was offered a spot to participate but declined to play. So I found that a little interesting, that you have a chance to go to the All-Star game and you say thanks, but no thanks. And in place, a Vegas Golden Knights player goes. What do you think?
I don't know. I think the All-Star game is just, it's fun for the people that are there. It's fun for the fans to watch. It's an easy entry point into the game if you don't know a lot about the game, because they do explain a lot about how the game works and what each thing is. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe he wanted some rest. I guess it's a personal decision. To me, it's also a great way to just put your personal brand out there.
Right.
Like, this is where you get to learn who the best of the best are. Like, even for myself, like, I, quite frankly, don't ever really start paying attention to the Western Conference until, like, after the trade deadline. Because then I'm like, oh, who's in the playoffs? So, like, watching the All-Star game has always been a good way for me to, like, know who's on the other side of the league.
Sure.
But to each his own, I guess. I mean, rest up.
Yeah, and I think, again, like, you get to, it's just fun for the players. Like, they're laughing, they're smiling. Like, it's not a serious event, even though there's $1 million on the line.
Which, to these guys, though, that's literally nothing when it's split between 11 players and coaches.
Yes. But I think, I don't know, to me, it just felt weird. Like, you're a new team in the league, and you're not going to send anybody.
Too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
So let's get into who was there. So Metropolitan Division All-Stars are Sidney Crosby from the Pittsburgh Penguins, who I know you have thoughts on.
Always. It's a reason I have a Crybaby Crosby shirt. It's one of my favorite things to wear.
Johnny Gaudreau, also known as Johnny Hockey, from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Kevin Hayes from the Philadelphia Flyers. My sweet, sweet baby Jack Hughes from the New Jersey Devils, who I learned during this experience was born in Orlando, and that seems weird. Brock Nelson from the New York Islanders. I still stand by that Brock Nelson is not a real name, and that sounds like a porn star name from 1973. But he does apparently exist. Alexander Ovechkin from the Washington Capitals, who, if they said one more time, was 83 goals away from beating Wayne Gretzky's record, I was going to scream.
Topic for another day.
Artemi Panarin from the New York Rangers. I'm going to butcher his name. Andrei Savchnikov from the Carolina Hurricanes.
I think you got it.
Did I?
You're pretty close, if not. It sounded similar to what I've heard when they on broadcast, so good job.
Awesome. Thank you. Adam Fox from the New York Rangers. Igor Shesterkin from the New York Rangers, which that I will admit took me about a year to be able to say. And Ilya Sorokin from the New York Islanders. I should know how to
believe.
I think it's Sorokin. See, we're learning two people.
Some of these guys have really hard names to pronounce.
They really do. So that is the Metropolitan. Do you want to do Atlantic? Or you want me to keep on keeping
You
on?
keep on keeping on because you have the list up and I don't.
Perfect. Atlantic Division All-Stars are Alexander Barkov, who hometown Florida Panthers. He was like, woo, yeah, we love him. Nikita Kucherov. I didn't do that a good job. I didn't do a good cooch there, but
It's all right. It's all right.
he actually like smiled during this event and it was lovely.
I know. You never see him smile.
No. Your boy Dylan Larkin from the Detroit Red Wings.
What?
I just said Detroit weird. Mitchell Marner. Sorry, I can't read. From the Toronto Maple Leafs. David Pastrnak from the Boston Bruins, also known as Pasta.
He was quite the character at this All-Star game, too.
I didn't know he had that much personality.
Me
It was
either.
super fun. Nick Suzuki from the Montreal Canadiens. I love Nick Suzuki.
I do, too. He's adorable.
You just like want to take Nick Suzuki, just like put him in your pocket.
And he's so happy, and he's such a good player.
He's like one of the youngest captains in the league. You just put him in your pocket, feed him M&Ms. You just love him. So good. Brady Tkachuk from the Ottawa Senators. Matthew Tkachuk from the Florida Panthers. Yes, they are brothers. Yes, they are the sons of all-time great Keith Tkachuk, who the whole family was there and was like the overarching story of the entire All-Star game.
Yep.
Rasmus Dahlin. Is that how I say that? Dahlin?
Yeah.
From the Buffalo Sabres. Andre Vasilevsky from the Tampa Bay Lightning.
The big cat.
Big cat. Linus Ullmark from the Boston Bruins.
I always
And
want to
that-
say Linus.
because that's how you say it in America.
I know.
So for the Central Division, we're just going to keep on going. I'm just saying lots of names at you people. You can Google them or we'll put them somewhere. I am guarantee I'm going to butcher a lot more names on the West Coast because I'm not used to seeing them. But anyway, Central Division. I don't even know how to say his first name. Kaprizov is his last name from Minnesota. I'm not going to attempt the first name. I'm so sorry. Kirill? Is that how you say that?
I'm just pulling the list. Possible Kirill, yeah.
I'm sorry. I really should have did pronounce before this. Anyway, Clayton Keller from Arizona Coyotes, who I think actually grew up near-ish where Pat Maroon grew up in Missouri. I don't know. They had a thing. Nathan McKinnon from the Colorado Avalanche. Mikko Rantanen from Colorado as well. Jason Robertson from the Dallas Stars, who I didn't know a lot about him before this. He is also a cutie patootie.
He is. He's a little arrogant. Every interview they had with him, he was like, whatever it takes to win. Of course, I'm going to put the puck in the net. And I was...
But he said it with a smile and a twinkle in his eye.
Yes.
You could tell, when he was a little kid, I feel like he just did little bad things, but not really bad things. Vladimir Tarasenko from the St. Louis Blues, who he is one of the biggest names where everyone is wondering where he's going to go at the trade deadline on March 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Jones from the Chicago Blackhawks. Kale Mocker. Getting tongue-tied. Kale Mocker from the Colorado Avalanche. Josh Morrissey from the Winnipeg Jets, who every time I see his name, I start singing Morrissey songs, and I don't really even like Morrissey, but here we are. Connor Hellenbuck from the Winnipeg Jets. Yus Saros, he's short at 5'11".
Yep.
From the Nashville Predators, but he's also a goalie, so that's also just short for a goalie. And rounding things off, Pacific Division, Leon Draisaitl from the Edmonton Oilers. Is he actually German?
I don't know.
I don't know. I thought I was ooh. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Kevin Fiala from the LA Kings. Bo Horvat from the New York Islanders.
The Vancouver Canucks, because
we'll
get there.
He just got traded. We'll get there. We just got traded. It was a whole thing. Nazem Kadiri, who I did not pay much. Kadri. Kadiri. I just made up a person.
That one I can pronounce.
No, I think I went to high school with a Kadiri. Anyway, I did not pay much attention to him despite him being on the Colorado Avalanche last year. And I was like, oh, He's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The one, the only, Connor McDavid from the Edmonton Oilers, Elias Pettersson from Vancouver Canucks, Chandler Stevenson from the Vegas Golden Knights, Troy Terry from the Anaheim. They're just the Ducks now. I still want to always say the Mighty Ducks. Eric Carlson from the San Jose Sharks, Stuart Skinner from the Edmonton Oilers, who we will do a social series on this, but does have, I think, the world's greatest mustache right now, and Logan Thompson from the Vegas Golden Knights. Whew, I'm exhausted.
You should be. That's some good job, Stephanie.
Thank you. Except for that time where I made up a person.
It's okay. You pronounced names better than I would have, so you have earned the right to, continue to pronounce all the names across the league.
Thank you. I do what I can.
But before we get into the games, let's talk about the Bo Horvat situation of why he was part of the Pacific Division, but playing for the Islanders, or as part of the Islanders. So just before the game happened, Bo was traded from the Vancouver Canucks to the Islanders. And I think this is one of the few times you see somebody who is going to an all-star game leave their team, because you don't normally trade your all-stars.
No, and not normally this far in advance of the trade deadline. I know when we were talking about Tarasenko, we were talking about where's he going to go. Like, he's another one who's awesome, but like, there's a whole myriad of reasons.
Yes,
that
the Vancouver Canucks are not having a good year.
No, the Vancouver Canucks are not having a good year. They fired their coach. It's a whole lot. So he got traded, and then as of the morning that we are recording this, so February 5th, he and the Islanders came to an 8-year agreement. So he, in theory, will be there for a while.
Yes.
But what that does do is I feel like the Islanders are getting closer to having like a really solid, they're coming out of their rebuilding and they're really going to be a powerhouse team. I mean, they've been better the past couple of years, but I think that's a really good addition.
Yeah, and they're chasing a wild card spot, aren't they?
Yeah. Yep. So should we quickly then go through the highlights of the skills competition?
Yeah, let's do that.
So, in the fun ones, so the splash shot, which we told you was them shooting at surfboards and dunking each other. The team of Mikko Ratinen and Kale Mocker won that one.
Yes, they did.
The pitch and puck, which is going out on the golf course and golfing with hockey sticks, our sweet, sweet baby Nick Suzuki won.
And what I loved about that event was the commentators were golf commentators and very much spoke in the golf voice of that we are out on the green, compared to every other element of the skills competition that it was like, woohoo, hockey, yeah.
Yeah. The whole thing did also make me realize that there are, in fact, very large differences between South Florida and the Tampa Bay region. I was like, wow. And I thought we were obnoxious. The Tendy Tandem, which was the two goalies, Connor Hellebuck and Yus Saros, won. I hope I'm saying Yus correctly. But that was fun.
It was fun.
The biggest shocker. This had one of my favorite moments of the entire night, though.
Yep.
Because we all were shocked that Igor Shesterkin did not shoot the puck down the ice, because he is legitimately one of the best goaltenders puck handlers.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love at the skills competition is when they have the women from the U.S., Canadian, Olympic teams out there and the national teams. And Sarah Nurse, who gold medalist, love this woman.
Two-time Olympian.
Two-time Olympian. She scored on Igor Shesterkin.
Yes, she did. And people are like, oh, he wasn't really trying. He let her, get that goal, blah, blah, blah. First of all, it's the All-Star Skills competition. None of them are really putting out their, 100%, this is the Stanley Cup playoffs type moves and goaltending and shots. They're there to have fun. But she totally beat him.
She did.
And
She pulled.
He flat out said he was not ready for that move.
Because she pulled out the Forsberg deke.
Yes, she did.
Which we should definitely repost a clip of that. It was by far my favorite moment over the whole 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because of her reaction, because they caught her where she put her glove up to her mouth and was like, oops.
And she had a little giggle.
I just scored on arguably the best goaltender in the NHL right now. Oops.
And what I loved was during the press conference, one of the reporters said that to her. They were like, how does it feel to score on one of the top 3 goaltenders in the world? And Hillary Knight, another amazing hockey player, cut off the reporter and was like, she's one of the top goal scorers too. And I was like, you go, girl.
It is true. All of the NHL players also lost their minds when she did it.
Mm-hmm.
Because she pulled out a sick move and she legit beat him. So
yep.
I'm standing by the suggestion that you put out there that custom nurse jerseys for all.
I know. Yeah. My dad said he would buy me an All-Star jersey, and I was like, oh, do I want a Larkin jersey because, Detroit, or do I want a Kucherov jersey because, Tampa, and I can wear that one more? And then she pulled off that move, and I was like, might need a Sarah Nurse jersey.
I might get myself one too and just wear it to every hockey game I ever go to, especially the Ranger games.
The Pat jersey is going on the hanger.
No, I have a rotation. I have a
Okay.
rotation. I will have a rotation of my Pat jersey, my Ranger Sucks Devils jersey, my Subban jersey, which I'm obsessed with the jerseys. Anyway, so that's my highlight, favorite moment. So
Yes.
fastest skater was Andrei Svechnikov,
Mhm.
which was
It was a surprise.
It was a surprise. It was a surprise, but he did a great job. Hardest shots, Elias Pettersson, which usually defensemen win this.
Because they're the ones that do the
Ovechkin's
slap
also won it.
shot.
Yeah, but apparently he remembered his hardest shot from the previous year and wanted to just beat that, which his hardest shot last year was 102 point something miles per hour. So this year he got 103.2, which is kind of insane.
Mm-hmm.
Breakaway challenge. This is where it's supposed to be like breakaways, but it's really just them doing weird skits to be funny.
We had Miami Vice. We had Happy Gilmore.
The Kachucks did a full blown.
I don't even
Weird
know what
thing.
that was.
I don't know. What my favorite part was of this before what ended up being my favorite part,
Okay.
they brought out the Miami Vice one. They had this whole bit with, I don't even remember who did it. The first guy did the Miami, whatever. It doesn't matter. He needed something. They set it up he needed he needed the hookup and he was, because I don't know. I never saw, I'm too young for Miami Vice. Miami Vice, drugs, guns, guys in suits. And they pulled out Roberto Luongo,
Mm-hmm.
who, one of the greatest goaltenders of all time, Florida Panthers legend,
Just
to
got
come out.
inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. He and, our man Hendrik Lundqvist are two of the greatest goaltenders of all time who never won a Stanley Cup. So I thought that was going to be my highlight, but no. Two of our least favorite players teamed up to bring one of my favorite moments. Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin came out and they were cuddling it oh yeah, they're going to team up. And they do this bit where they sign a jersey and then Sidney Crosby's oh, we need another signature on this. And then out comes this teeny tiny baby Ovechkin,
Sergey.
little Sergey. Oh my God. And they did a little pass thing and he scored a 5-hole goal on Luongo. He was very cute.
It was very cute. So prior to that, their little secret weapon coming out, I was annoyed at the fact that they were teaming up because I'm like, it's not a breakaway.
It's not a breakaway. It's only a breakaway. Everyone can come together now to make a child's dream come true.
Yes, yes.
And he celebrated like it was a real goal.
It was a real goal. That puck went in the net. What else would you call it, Stephanie?
That is true. That is true. Accuracy shooting. The person who I refuse to believe is his real name, Brock Nelson.
Yes.
Which that was also an upset because everyone thought that was going to be Connor McDavid.
Yeah, and he could not get that last target.
Well, or as fast
Yeah.
because, Kadri, who I, now know is a real person, it snuck in there. It was great.
Yeah,
So that's a skills competition.
All right, so let's run through the game that happened on Saturday, February 4th. And the All-Star game is a shortened version of a hockey game. They only play 2 10-minute periods. In the first game, it was the Western Conference teams facing off against each other, the Pacific Division and the Central Division. And then the second game was the Eastern Conference teams facing off against each other, and the winner of each of those games went on to the championship game. I was not surprised that the Central Division won in their semifinal game against the Pacific because they were the only team to be balanced with 3 defensemen and not a bajillion forwards.
Correct. That is true.
So I was surprised that they didn't win the championship game from that standpoint because I was like, they're a well-balanced team. Of course they can win this. But the Atlantic Division came out and was like, oh no, we're taking this. Thank you.
The Atlantic Division in general here is stacked, and I actually think the way the actual game netted out was really just a microcosm of what the league looks like right now. Because the Atlantic Division just dominated. And the big through line through that, it was the Kachuk brothers playing on a line together.
Yes.
And that's never happened before. And it was really cute. They interviewed their mom, and she was like, please don't break them up. I've never seen this before. Like, it was super cute.
Yes, it was.
And Matthew Kachuk scored like, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5 goals. And like his brother had assisted on every single, like, it was pretty impressive.
It was.
But
and then the other highlight for me was, Dylan Larkin scoring 5 goals because, Detroit Red Wings don't count us out.
Yeah, I think if Matthew Kachuk had not just been nuts going, and he was the hometown guy, Dylan Larkin would have been the MVP of that game.
Well, and part of me wonders if Larkin was like, look, I'm going to play the hell out of this game because I want what I'm asking for, Stevie Y, and I am the only Red Wing here, and I'm playing with all these other All-Stars across the league, and I'm going to show you why I deserve that $9 million contract.
I think that's part of it. He does become a free agent next year, and I know we always trust the Yzer plan, but I really think that would be very bad if they let Dylan Larkin leave the building.
Yes. I will say, as I was watching the All-Star game, and he and Cooch were on a line together, and I was like, ooh, I really like this pairing. I really like Cooch and Larkin playing together, which clearly the Tampa Bay Lightning social media admins had the same thought because posted a picture of Cooch and Larkin like fist bumping and wrote this with the little twinkly emojis, and people were all like, what? And like speculating of Larkin coming to Tampa, which
we don't have the money.
We do not have the money for that.
Detroit might have the money for Nikita Kucherov, and if that happens, I will lose my shit.
But it was funny because I was like, I would like to see them play together after this because that was some magic happening.
It was kind of like when, like, whatever All-Star game many years ago when, like, Hedman, and it was like the Hedman and Carlson show.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the way
That was
I
the one
felt
in
like
Tampa. That was 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Because they dressed up for Gasparilla.
Yes, because it was pirates. Gasparilla is a ridiculous pirate festival here in Florida, a la Mardi Gras. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things you go to once just to say you did. So that's the All-Star game. It was great. I just thought it was good fun.
It was good fun. I know, like, people like to complain about it and that it kind of breaks up the season and everything. And if we didn't have it, would it really impact anything? Probably not, but it's good fun.
I think it's good fun, and you got to think of it like the season is so long.
Mm-hmm.
They need a break.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the longest professional sports seasons, and I know baseball is longer, and I love baseball, but baseball is not this intensive as on your body. So everyone gets a break, mental refresh, reset. So that's the All-Star game. We know we went a little long on it this time, but it was just a lot of fun. We'll put lots of clips up on our social channels, and we'll let you know if we each get jerseys and who they're for.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that, we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back. And we're back.
All right.
So, Muffy, are you going to teach me hockey again?
Sure.
I love when you teach me hockey.
So last episode, we talked about the power play and the penalty kill and how one of your players can find themselves in the penalty box. Today, we're going to talk about a different kind of penalty, the penalty shot.
Ooh.
All right, Stephanie, I need your help. I need you to give me two teams. Who is playing a game today?
The Los Angeles Kings.
All right.
And the Buffalo Sabres.
All right. So the LA Kings and the Buffalo Sabres are playing each other. And let's see.
Do you want me to quickly tell you who their goaltenders are?
No, it wasn't their goaltenders. I was actually about to say Anze Kopitar has a breakaway.
That's a good name. Kopitar is a good name, too.
It is a good name. So Kopitar with the LA Kings has a breakaway, and he is coming right up on the Sabres goaltender, and one of the Sabres players comes around with his stick and trips Kopitar up, causing him to not get this shot towards the goal and possibly get a goal. It's really hard to explain these kinds of things without the ice in front of me. I hope I'm painting an okay picture for you guys. So Kopitar gets tripped up trying to take a shot off at the goaltender. So instead of the Buffalo Sabres getting a tripping call and going to the box for 2 minutes, Kopitar is now going to get a penalty shot where it is 1-on-1, him and the goaltender.
That's insane.
Yes.
It's very exciting.
Now.
And I have a question
Yes.
before we move on. So how is it different when he's going and he gets tripped? Like, why does that happen? Like, how many other players does Kopitar have around him from his own team and possibly the other team?
Well, with it being what we call a breakaway, he's by himself. Or at least from his side. Clearly, the Buffalo Sabre player had to catch up to him to trip him. But basically, he's on his own, making his way across the ice to try and score the puck. Now, a slight distinction here with being awarded a penalty shot as opposed to getting a power play is that he did not actually get a shot off with the puck, meaning he did not get to shoot the puck towards the net before he was tripped. If he does get to take a little shot as he's going down or right before he gets tripped, that results in a normal 2-minute penalty to the Buffalo Sabres.
So what you're telling me is he has to be alone, all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
The other team's player has to catch up to him and impede him from getting to shoot that puck
Mhm.
at the goal. So
Mhm.
it can't really actually meet the goal.
Correct.
Okay. Got it.
Yes. So that's a penalty shot.
And where do they start the penalty shot from? Like, where does he...
Center ice.
So it's pretty dramatic when it happens, and it's pretty rare.
Yes.
But when it happens, like, everyone, like, loses their mind.
It is true. They don't happen very often.
During regular play, anyway.
Mhm.
Because Muffy will tell you.
There is another time that the players can go 1-on-1 with the goaltender. but we have a few extra steps to get there. So let's say LA Kings and the Buffalo Sabres are still playing each other. We get to the end of the third period. It's tied 2-2.
What happens when the buzzer goes off?
They're going into overtime.
What is overtime?
It is a 5-minute period where they play 3-on-3 hockey.
You're telling me they don't play with all the players?
No. Oh my God.
Oh my.
This is where I feel like we need a visual of like the old timey comic books with like the pow and the like, oh my God.
Yes. It's true. And actually, this is a good one to talk about now because if you watch or you go back and watch clips from the All-Star game, it's the whole thing's 3-on-3.
That is true. It is all 3-on-3. So it is kind of like when they played those overtime periods. But it's very interesting. A lot of strategy goes into it because some teams will actually use their goaltender almost as a fourth player. They'll use them to kind of pass the puck around if it's safe for them to do so without giving up a goal. Because overtime is sudden death. If somebody scores in that 5-minute period, that's the team that wins. But if nobody scores after the 5-minute overtime period, we go to a shootout. And each team gets to start with 3 players, and they take turns shooting that puck against the goalie.
Yeah, it's just breakaway shots,
Mhm.
pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And if nobody gets it after those 3, they just keep cycling through players until somebody scores.
Yes, in the regular season, somebody always has to win. So how do they determine who shoots first in an overtime shootout?
The home team gets to decide.
Yeah, so some people think there's advantages to going first or going second, but
I think there's an advantage
Ultimately.
to going second.
I do too. I never get why they go first.
Yeah. I want to know what the other team is doing first. I want to see who those players are they're putting out there.
Same. The Lightning sometimes will go first. I'm like, I don't. Why? So, what are the implications of a regulation win, and an overtime win?
It impacts your standings. So if you win the game, you get 2 points. If you lose the game, you get no points. Unless you lose in overtime or a shootout, you get 1 point. And all these points
So-
get added up to determine where in the standings each team is.
Yep. And you want the points.
You do
Team with
want
the
the
most
points.
points. Well,
I don't know
it's
if you want the
debatable
most
if you
points.
want. When we get to the playoffs, we'll explain to you why you may not want to be the team that is the best team in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's very superstitious. It may involve crystals and touching trophies and or not. So that's your basics for today. Thank you, Muffy.
You're welcome.
Who won this game?
Let's go with the Buffalo Sabres.
I feel like they need it more.
All right.
We're back for period 3. This is where we just talk about anything. And everything.
Anything goes.
Anything goes. So Muffy has queued up a really fun topic for us this time.
Yes, we are going to talk about the theme nights that the teams do around the league. They all have different theme nights throughout the season. Usually you see about 1 a month from the teams. They can range anywhere from kids night to Asian Heritage Night to military appreciation to pride and whatever the teams feel are important for their communities.
Yeah, and a lot of times they'll do something special for their warm-ups. They'll have like a special warm-up jersey, or they'll do special tape on their stick. So it's just something to get people fun and excited about. I always love when they do specialty jerseys.
Me too.
Those are my favorite. So which has been one of your favorite specialty nights so far this season, since we are at the unofficial halfway point?
My favorite that I've been to was when the Tampa Bay Lightning did Kids Night. And they had a kid commentator with the in between period host. There was a kid announcer with the normal announcer. When players are announced or score a goal or things like that, normally their picture comes up on the Jumbotron. And in this case, they had like hand-drawn drawings from kids of the players that were so fun.
Muffy was taking pictures of them and texting them to me and our other friend, and I was obsessed. They were so cute.
Yeah, that one was a really, really fun night.
I am always a sucker for a good jersey, and I think my favorite one so far has been the San Jose Sharks Lunar New Year jersey. It was designed by a local San Jose artist named Sarah Pham. I hope I'm saying that right. She's a Vietnamese American artist. It just really celebrated the holiday, but also incorporated their giant shark in like a really fun way.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been to that arena, at least when I was there, they still was doing the thing where you came out of a shark mouth.
Yep.
When
The Shark Tank.
and it was so cool. So I feel like it really captured the spirit of the culture around Lunar New Year, but also really did a nice job of incorporating like team culture into it too. It was really fun.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot too. And they did have a great specialty jersey. I am still a sucker for the Tampa Bay Lightning Gasparilla jersey. Again, going back to our Gasparilla Fest and the Pirates and everything. But both last year and this year, I'm like, I'm a fan of that one. I just like our pirate culture.
We do have a pirate culture here. It's a little weird, but here we are. I have no idea what my dog's barking at, and I'm too lazy to get up and go figure it out. She'll stop eventually.
That's okay. My dog was barking last time, so it's fine.
So they're really fun. Usually they go off without any sort of controversy. But
unfortunately, that didn't happen so much this year with the Philadelphia Flyers Pride Night. There's a little controversy surrounding that fed into other Pride Nights.
Yeah, so one of the players decided to opt out of wearing the jersey for Pride Night for religious reasons, which, you know what? Everyone has the right to do that. And the team handled it well. I think on a personal note for me, I think it's just kind of sad to see when they're trying to make good on hockey as for everyone, how that can feel to me, it feels a little kind of unwelcoming. But
yeah, and I think part of my issue with it too is that he didn't participate in warm-ups because he didn't want to wear the Pride jersey. And the entire night is Pride Night. But because you don't have to wear the Pride-themed jersey for the actual game, you still get to play in it. I have a problem with that.
I agree with you on that. I think if you're opting out of wearing the jersey, then you should opt out of playing the whole game.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If it's truly your beliefs, then just bow out of that game. It's not a big deal, really.
Right.
I did like the article that you sent from if you can tell, we recently got a subscription to The Athletic, and we're a little obsessed with it. I liked the article that you sent where, despite this, the NHL still feels like they're going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Well, and yes, and I think a lot of people still came out of support and said, it's the right thing for the teams to do. And I think almost every team does a Pride Night. It's rare to see someone not do it, or I don't feel like I've noticed teams that haven't. But are they really going in the right direction, or how did this, kind of fuel more controversy? When the New York Rangers had their Pride Night, they ended up not wearing the custom jerseys that were made across the board because they didn't want something like this to pop up again.
That's true. I think was a little bit of cowardice on the New York Rangers side. I also think, given where they are, it probably would have been less of an issue, especially when, meanwhile, down in Tampa on non-Pride nights during the Kiss Cam at a game I was at a few weeks, I guess, ago, there were these two women there, and they had jersey. One of the women proposed to the other and had custom jerseys made on site that said, "She said yes," and they put them on the Kiss Cam and everything. And I'm like, that wasn't Pride Night. That was just a night.
Yep. And that's, I think, also one of the things that you're seeing more within the league and showing that you could be a fan of hockey no matter who you are, no matter who you choose to love. Like, it's all moving in the right direction and showing that people are welcome to come and enjoy the sport of hockey.
And you have a right as a player to, if you don't believe in it, fine, don't wear the jersey, but you're right. Then maybe we should re-examine whether or not you also get to participate in the whole night. Because it's part of the culture the NHL is trying to cultivate, whether they're doing the best job at it. You know, sometimes they slip up, but,
yeah.
you know.
And I did read another interesting article that said the campaign should really be called Hockey for Everyone, not Hockey is for Everyone, to make it a bit more aspirational and show a goal that we are moving to, that this author didn't feel like hockey is for everyone is the place that the NHL is at right now, but hockey for everyone is the goal that they want to have, and that should really be what the slogan is. And I thought that was an interesting take, and I really appreciated that thought as well.
Yeah, because I think the goal of all of these theme nights, aside from being fun and having cool art, is to build community and welcome people to come out so they can see themselves at a game. And as the world becomes more diverse, seeing themselves also reflected in the players, which is also why I'm just sitting here so embarrassed that I screwed up Kadri's name, but that's fine. But so I hope teams keep doing these. I hope teams keep pushing the boundaries of what is possible on these nights. And I love what you sent to with the Sabres hosting their inaugural Choose a Love Night, which happened on February 1st, which put a spotlight on Black community and local Black-owned businesses for Black History Month. I think it's just a cool thing to do, and it's a cool way to also highlight the history of your community, everyone in the community, and also touch on some, NHL history that, might not often get told. So yeah, I think it was good. I like it.
I do too. All right, I think that wraps up our period 3.
Yes, and that's a wrap, people. We'll talk to you next time, and thanks for listening.
Be sure to follow us on social media.
Yes, follow us on the social medias.
We're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Shut Your 5-Hole and Listen.
And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please rate and review us. It really does help people find us. And since we are a totally independent podcast, we need all the help we can get.
Yes. Share with everyone.
Share. That was bad.
But it's perfect for the ending because that's how the horn sounds at the end of the game.
It's true. Okay.
All right.
Bye, everyone.